What is going on, gunfighters? Often we talk about guns and calibers and ballistics and hunting. Today we're going to talk about another side of gunfighting, the defensive, the armor, body armor. Today I will be fielding your questions on body armor. Welcome to Gunfighter Life, the podcast where we talk about guns, gunfighting, tactics, ballistics the right way with God Almighty at the center, biblical, Judeo-Christian values, and real-world first-hand experience. Military, law enforcement, private security, contracting, executive protection, S.R.T team, a bunch of other stuff, bullet points in the show notes. Been a professional gunfighter most of my adult life, hence the name of the podcast. Blessed be the Lord, my rock, who trains my hands for war and fingers for battle. And I say some of that to say that I'm somebody that pretty much lives in body armor. My primary breadwinning job is as a private security contractor. I'm currently employed as one. I put on jungle boots, a war belt, and body armor. Been wearing body armor for a long time. Worn all kinds of body armor for a lot of hours. So that's some bona fides as to answering your questions on body armor. And by your questions, I mean the patrons or people on Patreon. I have been doing, let's call it a running mini-series where I put up a post and I say, ask me your questions about. I did one on survival shotguns. I've done one on AR-15 platform. Now one on body armor. So if you'd like to answer a question on, or rather if you'd like to ask a question that I can answer on one of these posts, hopefully you'll consider becoming a patron. Okay. With that, let's get into it. Let's see here. Pull up the Patreon page. Plate differences and recommendations. All right, there are a lot of different kinds of plates. Generally, when you say plates, though, you mean hard, like a hard plate. You could have soft plates, but generally you're talking hard plates when I think of plates. You've got your kind of general steel, which is usually the most affordable of a hard, pretty decent leveled up plate. You have your ceramic coated plates. You have polymer plates. Your steel plates are going to be your most affordable. They're going to be thin. They're also going to be very heavy. Your ceramic plates are going to be thick. You can shave off some weight, though, and they can do pretty well as far as being some of the best ballistically rated. Your polymers, that's kind of a new deal. There's all kinds of different polymers. In general, they're going to cost you quite a bit of money for a really good one because they're lightweight and they're very good at stopping things. And that generally comes at a price. So you might be looking at several $1,000s for a set of those plates. And there's a bunch of stuff in between there, a bunch of other stuff. There's stuff like trauma plates, which I'm not really going to get into. But those are your main types and differences. Typical cost of a good setup. What are you trying to stop? Right? Are you trying to stop handgun bullets? Because you can do that for a couple $100. Are you trying to stop rifle bullets? You're probably looking at $500 to $1,000 minimum for a good setup. And if you're looking at like a good setup that's not going to weigh a ton, you're looking at maybe several $1,000s. So there's that. You got to look at your carrier, you got to look at your plates, and you're probably maybe going to want some kind of conjunction like a hard plate and some soft stuff in there, or some soft stuff in a trauma plate, but probably several $1,000s for like an ultralight, really good setup. Again, if you just want to stop handgun bullets, you can probably get by with a few $100s. Can I use my SAPI plates in a new setup, and if so, what do you recommend? Yes, you sure can. I recommend Crye JPC2, Crye JPC jumpable plate carrier. And so when I was a commander of a tactical team, I was in charge of outfitting everybody as kind of part of my job. I was also like a manager. I wasn't just a tactical commander. I also did a lot of logistics stuff. And I went through a lot of different body armors. And it was tempting to go get the cheaper stuff, and I tried that. I tried to get the cheaper like Condor type stuff or other carriers, and they would all just break. Now, if you just want to, I don't want to say LARP, but if you just want like a fire extinguisher set of plate carrier, like I just want to throw it on in case of an emergency, and I'm going to wear it for an hour, or I'm going to wear it to the range to look cool, you can probably get by with one of the cheaper carriers. But me and my guys that might be wearing it for 12 hours at a time, day after day, with those plates, bouncing up and down, the Cry JPCs were all fine. The cheaper carriers, they broke. So the Cry JPC, it's really worth the money. They're a very good plate carrier. That's going to be my number one recommendation. The other one is they're kind of a one-size-fits really big people. It's supposed to be one-size-fits-all, but if you're medium to small, they're not going to fit you very well. But the 511 plate carriers, if you're a big dude, those are a big plate carrier. But for our bigger guys, and I'm not a giant guy. Like one of the patrons met me and he said something like, I thought you'd be bigger, like William Wallace. Like, if William Wallace were here, I'm not the biggest dude. I'm a fit dude. I'm a muscly dude, but I'm not the biggest dude. If you're a big dude, and I'm not talking about like overweight, I'm talking about like you're a large frame dude, like 6 foot plus, the 511 plate carrier fits you pretty well. That's a good one, and I think it's a little bit more affordable than the Cry. And there's a bunch of other like niche Gucci, plate carrier setups that you can run with if you want. But those are the big ones that I would recommend. Let's see here. So the only armor I have is shown in the picture. I posted a picture of me in the GWAT with my Marine Corps body armor. It's old GWAT stuff with 2 sappy plates. I heard some armor degrades with time. Not sure if it's true. Do the sappy plates? I guess it's better than nothing, but mobility is hindered with the setup. Okay, so a couple of things there. Yeah, the U.S. Marine Corps body armor, the GWAT stuff, it is ridiculously big and bulky and heavy. You're kind of like a tactical Ninja Turtle with that stuff on. It's just ridiculously big and bulky. But it works, and it's got a lot of blast protection. A lot of casualties in war are not from gunfire. They are from, IEDs. They're from explosions. They're from grenades. They're from shrapnel, from artillery. And, that old GWAT body armor kind of covered everything, going down into the cod piece, if you know what a cod piece is, like going all the way down there to your man parts. It had a lot of ballistic protection, neck protection, but it is less maneuverable. It's that whole equation, firepower versus mobility. So with that said, it's very good ballistic protection. It's very, very bad if you're trying to be mobile and trying to run really fast or go really far. It's miserable. As somebody that spent a lot of hours in some nasty environments and that stuff, it's horrible. Really bad body armor. That said, it's really good ballistically, so it's a trade-off. What else? Oh, does body armor degrade over time? Yes, it does. But you do what you want. I'm not telling you to not follow NIJ guidelines or whatever, right? But it's kind of like the expiration date on food. They might say that the can of beans expires in 6 months, but it's probably going to be just fine 10 years from now. Okay? Probably the same with your body armor. So how can it degrade? Yes, and sappy plates especially, anything that, I don't know about anything, but most things that the government buys is going to have an expiration date because it's mandated to, whether it actually expires or not. So keep that in mind. Here's what actually can degrade sappy plates. You drop them. If you drop them a bunch or they get banged around, they can crack. They are ceramic, right? Just like a ceramic plate, it can crack. So that is a thing. They can go bad over time. And as far as Kevlar goes, Kevlar is a fabric. It can degrade over time. It can get wet. It can get moldy. It can get nasty. It can break down. So that being said, how have you stored it? Also, I think sunlight can probably break it down. So how has it been stored? There is a simple way to know whether your body armor is still good ballistically. Go shoot it. Assuming you've been storing it all together in the same place, take one of the smaller parts of the armor, like if it's the Marine Corps stuff, take the cod piece, take the man part protector, take it out and shoot it. Is it still good? Does it still stop bullets? There you go. Then the rest of it probably will too. Again, if that's what you have, right, then I'm not telling you that's the best course of action, but I'm telling you it's a pretty good indicator. You should probably PSA follow whatever the thing is, but I'm telling you it's mostly like expiration dates on food. So there's that. But yeah, body armor, especially Kevlar and stuff, it can degrade over time. Also like sweat and being moldy and dank and nasty, I was a police officer for quite a while. Those things, they have expiration dates. Now, that being said, they're very cautious on those expiration dates, but stuff can break down over time. It's a fabric. Kevlar is. So keep that in mind. Steel, like steel plates, I mean, I can't think of anything that you could do to a steel plate to make it expire. So if a steel plate has an expiration date, it's probably just on there because they have to have one. So there's that. Are there much better setups? There are so much better setups than the Marine Corps stuff. Just so much better. So again, what do you want to spend your money on? Okay, here we go. Pros and cons of steel plates. Pro, they're cheap. Pro, they're slim. Con, they're heavy. Con, spalling. Spalling is when you shoot something and the fragments go everywhere. Now, I think people really worry about this because a lot of times, especially I've been off YouTube for a long time as far as watching stuff on YouTube. But I remember a lot of the gun tube glitterati for a while. This was a thing way back when I cared what they thought, realizing that many of them have very little experience. So they would shoot a steel plate and be like, oh, look, it shatters everywhere. Okay, but keep this in mind. You're probably not wearing the steel plate duct taped to your chest. You're probably wearing it inside a plate carrier. The plate carrier is ballistic nylon. The plate carrier, at a minimum, it's ballistic nylon. You probably have Kevlar in there if you really got a good setup. So I would not be super concerned about the spalling because the ballistic nylon is largely going to stop a lot of that spalling. So keep that in mind. You may want to go with some kind of coating on your steel plates, and you can look that up and do that yourself to varying degrees of success. But I've pulled a lot of bullet fragments out of myself, and they are a lot less dangerous than actually being shot with a bullet, which I've also had, which is miserable. So spalling is nowhere near it. I guess it could nick an artery or something, but most bullets after they spall lose the vast majority of their energy. They might break the skin. You might have to pull them out of your face or whatever, but it's a lot less deadly. I guess it's technically possible one could go into your jugular, but I've never seen that. I've seen them break the skin. I've seen you have to dig them out and stuff like that. But bullet spalling after it hits steel is generally nowhere near as dangerous. So those are my thoughts on that. But those are the pros real quick. The pros are it's very affordable for AR 500, AR 550 steel. It's relatively thin and sleek. It's also heavy. And it's also, you can get some spalling effect there. So just keep that in mind if you are concerned about such things. Pros and cons of steel plates. Maintenance and care. If it starts to smell funny because you've been wearing it and sweating in it a bunch, wash it. That's really it, right? If you've got an outer carrier, whether it's internal body armor or external body armor, wash the carrier, right? Probably don't wash the Kevlar if you can help it, but you can wash the carrier, the outside part. Once it gets so crusty that it's stiff and will stand up on its own, that's probably time to wash it. If it smells really bad because you sweated in a bunch, then you should wash it. Wash it with soap and water or Dawn dish soap. Scrub it. It's not rocket science. Just scrub it. That's it. If it's the soft armor, you probably don't want to get that wet and keep it wet. So just be aware of that. But other than that, just wash it, man. When to replace it? When it stops stopping bullets. That's when you replace it. That one's pretty easy. The different levels of protection. The NIJ, which I don't know who put them in charge of this, but the NIJ generally rates body armor. I'm not going to go through all of that. It's a good question, but it's a question that I could go through and it would be super dry, or you could literally look up a picture of it on your phone or on the computer and pull it up, and it will show you a chart of all the things that everything stops. Level 1 stops this, level 3A stops this, level 4 stops this. Most stuff in general is going to be 3. 3 and under is going to be your body armor for handguns and things like that. And then your level 4s is going to be for your serious stuff. It's going to be for your big boy rifle cartridges. So just keep that in mind. You got to decide, obviously, the stuff, unless you go really expensive, if you want to stop full powered rifle cartridges, it's going to be heavy and it's going to be miserable to wear. So just keep that in mind. Stuff that stops handgun rounds, even up to Magnum handgun rounds, shotgun rounds, that's a lot easier to stop. That's going to be a lot lighter, a lot more mobile. So you got to decide what you want. Let's see what else we got here. Maintenance care. Bulletproof shirts. Do I have any experience with bulletproof shirts? Well, I have experience with, I don't know if you'd call it a bulletproof shirt. I had experience with some very minimalist armor that you would wear under a shirt, like under an athletic shirt, like a Under Armour type shirt. It actually might have been Under Armour type shirt. Anyway, one of those kind of real tight form-fitting shirts. I mentioned I was the commander of a tactical team to stop active shooters, and I was in charge of outfitting our guys, myself included. And it depended on the mission. A lot of the time, we would be completely overt. Like, we were doing a mission, and we wanted everybody to know that we were there in force. Full body armor, full kit, rifles, plate carriers, boots, handgun, knives, like the whole kit. Like, we were kitted out. And then sometimes we would want to be covert. We would be gathering intelligence, where we would be escorting somebody covertly or in an environment where we didn't want to know we were there in force. So that might mean being in a three-piece suit. It might mean being in a hoodie looking like a homeless dude. So it just depended on the mission. But it was called Citizen Armor. I don't know if they're still around. You might want to look them up, but it was a really cool technology, some of the most comfortable body armor I've ever worn. It was carbon fiber nanotubes. Nanotube carbon fiber. It was like some crazy advanced stuff. It was super light. It was the best, most comfortable body armor that I have ever used. Not cheap, not crazy expensive. You could wear it under a shirt. Now you still know you're wearing body armor, right? You still don't, if you don't have to, you don't want to just wear it around all the time. As somebody that wears body armor on a daily basis, it's pretty miserable. So there's no body armor that's just going to feel like nothing. But that stuff was pretty good. And again, that was Citizen Armor. It was the carbon fiber nanotube stuff. We took it out, and it is good. We used that quite a bit as our minimalist blending in with the normies kind of body armor. It was very good. So that's my experience with that type of armor. Let's see. Also curious about the lifespan of ceramic. I believe mine has. Yeah, like I said, a lot of stuff that you buy for the military is going to have an expiration date. But you take that with a grain of salt. You take that for what you want. If you want to be absolutely like N.R.A. says this and I'm just going to drink the N.R.A. Kool-Aid, then sure, yeah, when the expiration date comes up, throw it away. But again, what degrades the ceramic generally is that it'll become delaminated or it'll crack. So, I'm not telling you your stuff is good. I'm telling you should probably check it and figure that out for yourself. But that's generally what breaks down ceramic, is it cracks or it becomes delaminated. Can you make your own? You maybe can. I don't really know. It's probably going to cost you more to make your own. If you're into, if you have a metal shop and you can heat treat 550 cold roll and heat treat 550 steel and bend it and shape it, maybe, but it's going to cost you a lot more than just buying it. Can you make your own AR-15 lower receiver from scratch? Maybe you can, not cost effectively unless you already have a machine shop. So it's kind of my thing for that. Now, if I'm going to get shot, there's a lot of things I would rather have between me and the bullet than nothing, right? I'd take a phone book if that's what I got and strap it to my chest, and that's technically homemade body armor, and it may stop a bullet. So I don't really know what we're talking about here. You're probably just better off buying it. It's very affordable. It's very available. I don't think you're going to stumble, unless you're just some crazy chemist, you're not going to stumble across probably some new revolutionary thing that you saw on YouTube that, I don't know. Here's what I will tell you. You can get those cheaper steel plates and you can coat them with stuff like truck bed liner or, and you can usually just get Kevlar rolls. You could coat it with just a thin piece of Kevlar, and that would, give you some protection against spalling and things like that. So if you consider that like making your own body armor, you could get Kevlar and press it with some kinds of resin to get the appropriate thickness, but you're going to need to test it, right? So you're going to have to make a bunch of plates and then shoot them a bunch. So I don't know that you're saving any money. I mean, technically you could make your own, but it seems like a weird thing to risk your life on when you could just buy some stuff that is rated for whatever caliber you want. Like, could you buy a bunch of Kevlar and then get a big, giant, bulky sewing machine that will stitch Kevlar and then sew it together and then dip it in resin and then make a plate. You probably could. I don't know that you're going to save any money on that, and you'd have to make several and shoot a bunch. What's a good sample size? 10. You make 10 plates and shoot them with a bunch of different calibers and see what they're rated for to see if it's going to actually work when you get shot. Like that, you could, but like it would probably be just easier to go and buy a plate and more affordable, and somebody else has probably already done that. The companies that are making plates have likely done all that. So it's kind of like what I say about, reloading your own defensive ammo. Like, probably don't do that. Companies spend a lot of time in R&D into developing really good defensive handgun loads. So if you're gonna carry something, probably carry something they've already tested a bunch. So kind of similar thoughts on the body armor. You probably could, like I said, you could shove a phone book down your shirt, and if you get shot, it's a lot better than not having a phone book there. But what are we doing? Can you do it? You can do it. I don't know that it makes a lot of sense. Here's somebody else nowadays that wear a slick and use a belt. Pros and cons of keeping your own vest versus running it like I do. That's all personal preference. And I have a lot of guys that like a lot of different things. When I was commander of a tactical team, again, I gave them a lot of liberty. I let them, here's the mandatory gear that you have to have. And you can, as long as you have that stuff, or you can do whatever you want. Some guys like to carry a bunch of tourniquets. Some guys like to carry a bunch of different knives. Some guys like to carry, XYZ, whatever it is, right? So I would let them carry whatever they want, and it's all personal preference. I tend to like a mostly slick plate carrier, and I tend to like most of my weight or all of my weight. Not all, right, because the armor weighs something, but the vast majority of my weight I like on my waist. And I've done both systems. In the Marine Corps, you pretty much don't have a war belt for most things, and you carry everything on your armor. And I was a cop where I carried pretty much everything because we had internal armor. I prefer to carry most of my weight on my hips. That's just me, even when I go rucking, right, and I have a bunch of different packs, but I like to carry the weight on my waist and have a little bit on my shoulders. Again, that's personal preference. You may be the kind of guy that likes most of the weight on the shoulder and doesn't like weight on their hips. That could depend on, past injuries, your skeletal system, your makeup, your body composition. So, that really depends. It's all personal preference. Is there any advantage, disadvantage? I mean, not if you're going to carry the weight, you got to carry it somewhere. You just got to figure on where you like it. Again, I like it on my hips. Some guys like it on their back. It just depends. You're going to have to carry it somewhere. Your shoulders, your back. Is there any real advantage, disadvantage? It just depends on you. That's the reason most of the gear today, whether it's a war belt or your body armor, has MOLLE, so you can put it in one place or another. And the only way you're going to know that is to do it. So I would say pick a setup and go to a legit training class, not like one where you go to an indoor range and shoot a paper at 7 yards, but like one where you're running around in the dirt, sweating several days, you're tired, you're fatigued, you've been wearing that body armor for 8, 10, 12 hours a day for several days, and your war belt, and you see what you like and what you don't like. That's really the only way you're going to know. So pick a setup, and then, again, most of your stuff's going to be MOLLE compatible, so when you realize you drop down in the prone and this thing whacks you right in the center of the chest and you can't get down into a prone position behind your rifle, then you got to move that thing. Or, you got to run from this place to that place and you realize that, your rifle sling gets snagged on this piece of your kit and you got to move it. You're just going to have to test that for yourself. And again, with a bunch of different guys, I don't know that one time I had like 38 S.R.T guys and maybe a dozen K9 guys under me. I don't know that a single two of us wore our stuff in the same place. That's something that you got to figure out for yourself. And the only way you're going to do that is to go to training, not like you doing it. Like, go get training, go take a training class, like a tactical handgun, tactical rifle class. And I'm not talking about putting your kid on and walking around the living room and posting a picture on Instagram. I'm talking about actually running, jumping, rolling around, doing simunition training, stuff like that to actually know if your kit works or not. Again, it's just personal, but there's plenty of guys that I know and respect that wear a lot of kit on their chest, and there's plenty of guys that I know and respect that wear most of their weight on their hips. Personal preference. I'm going to add a question in here. I'm surprised it didn't get asked, but do I even need body armor? No, not until you get shot, right? When you get shot, it's real important. So yeah, the vast majority of the time, no, you don't need body armor. And the majority of you listening will probably never need body armor. But when you get shot, you wish you had it. Or you're glad you had it. So yeah, it depends, man. If you think you might find yourself in a situation, and none of see the future, but find yourself in a situation where there's incoming rounds and you're in some kind of status where you're going to be able to wear body armor, yeah, it's kind of important. If you don't have at least several months worth of food stored up, if you're talking about this as a survival thing, which I'm all about you being prepared, survival, I'm all about all that stuff. But if you don't have, a way to get good, clean water, and I don't mean boil it, I mean like a consistent way to get good, clean water, if you don't have a good bug out location, if you don't have a lot of food, several months at least worth of food stored up, if you haven't had any legit tactical training, it's way down on the list. So once you get that other stuff checked off, if you want to get some body armor, yeah, get some body armor. But I don't want to pretend like it's like everybody should have, or even everybody that's into guns, or everybody that carries a gun day to day should have it. Again, as somebody that wears it for a lot of hours, it's pretty miserable. So don't jump on there until you need to. And that, again, a good setup can cost you quite a bit of money. Do you have food? That's probably more important. Do you have water? Do you have antibiotics, right? Those things. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Body armor. I appreciate the questions, guys. And again, if you want to be able to ask questions like this, go to Patreon. I try to remember, can't say I'm perfect at it, but I try to remember to make the Q&A things where you ask me questions. You just have to go to Patreon. You don't necessarily have to be a paying member if I remember to set it on the free mode. Can't promise that, but if you're listening to this and you're like, I wonder who's going to ask about a subject next where I can ask him a question. I haven't decided that yet, but by the time this airs, you might be able to scroll down and find out. So if you want to ask some questions, go to Patreon. And if you want to support the podcast, veteran-owned, small business, buzzwords. No dolphins were harmed in this, glyphosate-free, family-friendly. No dolphins were harmed in the making of this particular episode. All that stuff. If you want to support the podcast, consider becoming a patron. Patreon link should be in the show notes. With that, guys, your tactical tip of the day. If you are going to be doing a bunch of Molly stuff, you're having a Molly kind of day, you're setting up kit, you're moving kit around, you're getting new kit and setting up kit, have a pair of needle nose pliers handy. Having a pair of needle nose pliers handy can really make a very frustrating job a lot less frustrating. Now, some of you guys are like, I EDC 2 multi-tools every day. Cool. That's you. It's not me. I don't generally EDC a multi-tool. But if you're going to be doing a bunch of Molly stuff that day, or you're going to a class and you know you're going to be moving kit around or likely to move kit around, or you're just going to have a day where you're setting up a bunch of your Molly stuff, yeah, having a pair of needle nose pliers is will save you a lot of frustration. That stuff can be kind of hard to weave through there if you don't have one. That's your tactical tip of the day, your tactical verse or verses of the day. A wise man fears and departs from evil, but a fool rages and is self-confident. Here's another one. In the fear of the Lord, there is strong confidence, and his children will have a place of refuge. The fear of the Lord is a fountain of life, to turn one away from the snares of death. That's so good. I'm going to read it again. In the fear of the Lord, there is strong confidence, and his children will have a place of refuge. The fear of the Lord is a fountain of life, to turn one away from the snares of death. I am very thankful to God that he's gotten me through many nasty situations where I probably shouldn't be here talking to you. And not because I'm better than the man that was next to me that didn't make it, or not because of this or that thing, but because he chose to have mercy on me. And if you're listening, he's had a lot of mercy on you too. So let us fear God, be thankful to God, and have a blessed day.